Welcome to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast for Christian real estate agents, where we help you grow your business with great marketing tips and grow your faith with powerful, radical faith Bible teaching. I'm Beatty Carmichael, and I'm glad you joined us. Today, we're going to be talking about growing your business with some great marketing tips. So, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Beatty Carmichael with Get Sellers Calling You. And I've got a really good friend. If you've listened to my podcast before, you probably have heard my friend before, but this is a totally new thing that I want you to hear. This is going to be really amazing. And my friend is Stuart Sutton outside of Austin, Texas. So Stuart, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me again, Beatty. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited, especially because of the topic we're going to talk about. And if I can tee it up this way, we were just talking before we started the interview. If you are listening to this and you are at $8 million in volume or higher, and you want to increase your business by bringing in another income stream in your real estate market, then we're going to talk about a very specific niche market with step-by-step exactly how to do it and some special opportunity for you if you're 8 million and above that's totally exclusive to you. That's going to be really amazing. If you're less than 8 million, still listen because you're going to get a lot of great stuff. You'll still be apply things on your own maybe. But this is really kind of we want to do a marketing class 501, not for the beginner agent, but for that agent who has gone through the ropes, has grown a business, and is ready to push into the next element of how to grow even more. So, Stuart, with that, hopefully you can live up to that short explanation.
That's a pretty high bar, but I will do my best.
Yes. So, Stuart, as we get started, tell us a little bit about you and your business and kind of this niche that you want to talk about and how the impact that it's making in your business. Just kind of give us a nutshell so we can get a picture of it before we get into the details.
Well, the nice thing about this is I'm able to talk about something I'm truly passionate about, because having been in the real estate business most of my adult career, I have seen what agents struggle with, why they struggle. And then when they actually are not really struggling anymore, they've hit a level of business that they're confident in, there's still more. And there's more even though there's less. And what I mean by that is when you focus and become an expert on something, you can actually work less and make more money, just like experts in every other industry do.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
So real quickly, what are the lines of business that you have? What verticals do you operate in?
Okay, great question. So I have my regular real estate business, Real Estate by Stuart.
Okay.
And I have several sources of income from that. They're pretty typical. And then I have my area of expertise, my niche. And that niche, I thought when I started it, and you were actually, I'd had it for a few years when I met you, but you may remember that it made up a really good percentage of my income.
Yes.
But at some point, not far down the line, it actually became fully half of my income and then exceeded my regular real estate income. And the reasons for that, we're going to talk about on this call. Why will becoming an expert in our society, in the real estate industry, create a situation where people are calling you? You don't have to chase them. They will contact you and say, I want to do business with you. And that is quite sincerely the ultimate client.
So let's take your business. You have your traditional real estate business. I know it's your past clients and sphere of influence, and you do a geographic farm and a little bit more. And then you have this niche. What percent? And you're a pretty decent producer.
Yeah, we do all right.
Yeah. All right is an understatement if you actually knew what he did, especially everything combined. But let's suffice, you're over $20 million a year in volume, personal production. Is that right?
Yeah, that's just me. So about 22 million for me. on with a part-time assistant and about a 35-hour work week. So you know that hasn't changed since you met me, 10, 12 years ago. And that's an absolute for me. And the reason for that was because I wanted my family first, and I set out to bust the myths in real estate, working long hours, weekends, evenings. And it breaks my heart when I hear an agent. I heard one on a recording not long ago say how many hours she works, and it's just the way it is, and you have to sacrifice, and you have to. It just breaks my heart because she could do just as much business or not more if she knew what she doesn't know. And that's what we're going to talk about on this call.
I've got to go back. This was a few years back. You were telling me of a friend of yours who has a large team, lots of ISAs. He
Yep.
did 3 or 3.5 million GCI that year.
Right.
And you were sharing how your take-home pay compared to his and your hours versus his. Do you remember that? And would you mind sharing just a kind of what?
Yep. Absolutely. And that really is going to hit the nail on the head. He had grossed a little over 3 million that year. And I, with a part-time assistant, had not hit 1 million. I was in the 815,000 range for my commission. I banked more money than he did that year. And it really all has to come down to, you know what, there's more to profit than just what do you produce?
Yeah.
Do you spend? What's your cost? What's your expense? How many hours do you spend working? How many hours do you spend with your family? I mean, there's a lot more to being a great at what you do than just a number.
And back then, that you were still doing about 35 hours a week that year?
Oh yeah. No, I've not worked more than that for decades.
Wow. So what we're going to talk about, hopefully I'm grabbing some of your interest out there as you're listening to this interview, that there's something different. And if you can figure out how not to do what everyone else does, but how to go against the flow and do something outside of the box, then the world's the limit. So back to a line of question I was going to ask. So you're 22 million in personal production, 35 hours a week, and you basically have two groups of your business. You have your traditional real estate and the niche.
Right.
What percent does your niche comprise of your total real estate?
Well over 50% now.
And what percent of your time commitment does it comprise?
About half that. So
Okay.
that 35-hour work week, I'll be spending about half of it on the niche and about half of it on regular real estate.
Perfect. And that niche is well over the 50%. So you're
Correct.
getting more.
It's around 15, just around 50 million just from the niche. Yeah.
Okay. So that's almost 3/4 of your business on.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, an $7-8 million year from just past clients and customers. And I mean, that's pretty decent. I mean,
Yeah.
I could live on that. But
So
and I know a lot of people that do the buy referral only thing, and that is great. I don't begrudge it whatsoever. I applaud it. But if you're doing that and you think, you know what if I could double my income? Then the type of marketing that we're talking about is precisely what you want to look at. Not working more hours, not spending more money to bring in more from your current database, but let's add a very lucrative income stream.
very much so. So I want to be right up front with everyone. This is going to be somewhat of a promotional call, okay? Because Stuart has taken this niche and he wants to coach people who want to duplicate what he's done. And but you don't have to hire Stuart. You can take your information from this call and go apply it yourself. But just so be right up front. There's some information that you can get Stuart to help you with, and really put this on the map for you. So this is where if you do 8 million or more, you've got some strong cash flow, you're serious with your business, and you really want to open up another income stream and double your volume on less than doubling your time, and probably get back a lot of your time depending on what you're doing in the rest of your business. This is going to be a really insightful call. So Stuart, let's talk about what you're doing with your niche. I'll just kind of let you free form it if you want, or I can interact and But let's talk about what you do and what this is
All
all
right. Well, it
about.
might be kind of boring if I just free fall it, but so I'll start with a quick story. When my first son was very, very young, we were on the floor playing and lining up Hot Wheels. Very organized little boy, still a very organized young man. And my phone rang, and as I started to reach for it, he put his hand on my arm and said, "Daddy, please don't answer that." And I realized he knew that if I answered that phone, I'd be spending time with someone else and not him. And from that day forward, I never, this is true, ever answered the phone again when my kids were with me, ever. So from that point forward, I had no choice. I had to either leave real estate and find something else, or I had to design my business so that I could be there with my family. And that's basically what we've done with my part-time assistant. I used to run a big team, as you remember, with hundreds of sales per year, the mega production type thing. But what I really enjoy, what I really like, is not managing people in a team. And some people like that. That's great. I really like dealing with my clients. I just enjoy it so much, enjoy the people that I deal with and that I help, and that we, get their home sold into closing and they're on to the next part of their life. It's just really the most fun part for me. But I did not want to sacrifice my family life to enjoy that. Weekends, evenings. I mean, the real estate business, if you have to work evenings and weekends, when do you spend time with your family? I
Really?
mean, when's it going to be? So from that point forward, looking into how that could happen, there's a sociological impact that isn't really well recognized in real estate. It is if you've been involved in it, but if you haven't, once it's pointed out to you, you think, well, that kind of makes sense. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, Beatty, and that is if you're in the medical industry and you have an issue, let's just say you find out you have a heart issue, you may really like your family doctor. You may trust them to death, but guess what you need? An expert. You need a cardiologist. There's three things that experts have that generalists do not. People seek them out, people pay them more, and people trust them more. Those are three pretty big deals.
Let me ask you on that. People seek them out. So you market in this niche. What percent of your listings are you making cold calls, calling into, not door knocking, doing proactive stuff, and what percent do they call you?
I have not cold called, knocked a door, or chased a lead in 27 years. And I used to be one of those guys. And I know you remember this, Beatty, because you have a probably what does Sheldon call it on Big Bang Theory, an eidetic memory. But I used to cold call 2 to 4 hours a day, and it works great. But you know what? It's so much more fun when they contact you and say, hey, we understand that you do this. You're a specialist in this. You're an expert in this. Would you come talk to us? And I've even had people, I'm not kidding, nearly demand that I come out and talk to them because they need what I do. They need my expertise. And that's a wonderful position to be in. And I think in the real estate industry, it's not as widely used. It's used, but the people in my market and in other markets that do super big business, and I mean people that just really knock it out of the park, a lot of times they are specialists, but it's other agents don't realize, well, you know what? I could become an expert too. I could become the one who understands this part of the market better than anybody else. And so they stick with traditional things, and that's cold calling and farming and door knocking and expireds and for sale by owners. And so that's what they focus on. Well, guess what? When you do that, you're competing with everybody else.
Let me ask you on that. So you mentioned three things. They seek you out. They're willing to pay more. So there's a lot of competition right now, and especially with these fixed rate agents and the low cost agents. And there's a lot of pressure on real estate agents to compete with their sales commission when they go on a listing appointment. So in this niche that we're talking about that you do, you're the expert. How many times have you had to reduce your sales commission or even had a sales commission conversation because they're trying to get you to sell at a lower commission rate because someone else is doing that too?
Well, let me answer this way.
Yeah.
If someone, when I'm in training and teaching agents various things, listing presentation being one of those, I'll sometimes get the question, what do you say, Stuart? And this is really what you're saying, Beatty. What do you
Yeah.
say when someone asks you if you'll lower your commission? You know what my response is? I
What?
don't know. Wait a minute. You've been in business like forever, and you've been on thousands of listings. What do you mean you don't know what you'd say if someone asked you to lower your commission? The reason I don't know is because nobody ever asks me. And that
Wow.
really kind of makes the point. So I have never, I mean, we didn't go to the oncologist with my wife when she had breast cancer and ask him to lower his fee. We didn't ask him to see us at hours where he didn't work. We didn't, I mean, you get the point. He had a specialization we needed. And so we were going to follow what his protocol was. And that's a very similar attitude when someone contacts me. They're going to follow my protocol. As a matter of fact, I don't really want this to become common knowledge, but you can mess up more as a specialist, and people are more okay with it because they want a specialist. For a common mistake, they might throw a regular real estate agent aside. They'll forgive you because you are above a typical generalist. Now, I don't know if that's something we want to really press. I don't mean it like that, but if that makes sense, they're more forgiving.
Yeah.
But when I talk to sellers, I always ask them lots of questions. It's my marketing side. And one of them is if they talk to any other agents, and if so, how many, and blah, blah, blah. I'm nearly always the only one that they talk to. And the thought process behind that is real simple. And that is they think, well, we own a home on 2 acres. Stuart's a specialist in 1 acre plus homes. We'll talk to the expert. If for any reason we don't like him, then we'll talk to other agents. But if we like him, we're going to move forward. And that's kind of, I likened that to when I was diagnosed with glaucoma. We got referred to somebody, and we thought, well, we'll just, if we don't like him, we'll use him. I mean, if we like him, we'll use him. If we don't like him, we'll find somebody else. And that's the way people think when they're referred to a specialist, or when they find a specialist, when they seek out a specialist. And I've had to seek out specialists in many different areas of life, as most people have, because it's really all about solving a problem. I mean, if you have a BMW, are you more likely to go to the BMW shop? Or are you more likely to go to the general mechanic who works on everything, and they'll figure out how to fix your BMW?
Yeah. BMW for sure. Hey,
Yeah.
let me ask you on that same topic, that specialist. You were sharing some statistics, breaking down where your sales. So and I think, I'm not sure if we actually announced this. This niche that we're talking about is the niche of 1 acre plus.
Mhm.
It's for homes that are on 1 or more acres. And in every single city, there's a whole group of homes on 1 acre plus. And it's a niche all by itself because those homeowners recognize that their home is different. You can't just sell my home the way you can sell that home on a 1/4 acre. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But the question I want to ask is, you gave me some statistics of the sales that you got, and what percent of the sales that you get in your niche are referred to you by people who have never met you?
Well, it's actually amazing. It's never even occurred to me that would happen when I started down this path. But I'll go to someone's house and they will say, "Yeah, so and so told us to call you." I'm going, "Well, I don't think I know them." They said, "Well, you don't, but they gave us this card, and there's one of my postcards that shows them that I'm an expert in this area of real estate." And that happens on a continuing basis. And you'll also get more referrals from within your 1 acre plus niche. Because someone who owns a home on an acre or more, I'll just give you a quick example. I sold a home for a lady. We closed it in December. She has since referred me to, in less than 30 days, 45 days, 2 other people who own a home on an acre or more. And that's, again, more common with specialties than it is with generalists. And that's true in virtually every industry. And that's the research I did when I started down this path. Was one of the tremendous benefits is you build a referral base faster when you specialize. Now, a lot of people think, well, there's not as many of those houses. How could I do more volume? Well, because you can get your market share within that 1 acre plus niche. And, we talked about it. I guess we think just about every city around the U.S. has, as you move further out, you get larger lots. And I haven't found a city that I know of that doesn't have 1 acre plus properties. Some will have more than others, of course, but it's just a unique type of real estate that owners believe, hey, my home on 1.3 acres or 1.01 acres or 6.3 acres is different than selling a house in a subdivision. And when I come across sellers who have experienced what I would just call typical agents, I'm never derogatory about it, they acknowledge that they really want someone who understands the type of property they have, because there's differences in pricing. There's differences in the way you present it. There's differences in the way you promote it. There's differences in the way you prepare it. So when you're familiar with those scenarios and they see this person truly understands my unique property, now you've got a bond that a general real estate agent is going to find hard to match with.
So let's go back for a moment on just the basics. We were talking before we started the recording about if someone wanted to go into a niche, why and what did they select? Talk to me a little bit about what's the importance of a niche? Why is it so much better? And what type of niche that is going to be the most profitable? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, it sure does. So from a perspective of how do I choose? That's really one of the first questions that we get asked. And yes, we've taught people how to do all kinds of niches, condos and lakefront and golf course and gated, all kinds of different niches. But the one overriding factor, the key, is that owner has to truly believe they need a specialist. And I'll give you a quick example. Had an agent one time who wanted to specialize in homes with swimming pools. On the surface, that sounds kind of cool. There's a lot of homes with swimming pools. But she went through the process and started marketing to them. And it was our first failure. It did not work. And I asked a few further questions, and it turns out she kind of left out one thing really important. And that was the survey part of it. That is talking to and surveying homeowners who had homes with pools. Did they feel like they really could use a specialist? Bottom line is they didn't. They felt like anybody could sell their home with a pool. Why would they need a specialist? I mean, what does a pool specialist need to know? The equipment, how much water it holds. I mean, there's just not in the consumer's mind,
right?
Maybe a way to swing that, but in the consumer's mind, what we found was that they just didn't see a big need for a specialist in that arena. We have proven it in many other areas. The reason that you and I are talking about 1 acre plus is because that is a niche that's probably the most developed and the most understood and the most utilized within our particular arena. So teaching someone to, for example, specialize in condos is great. We can teach them to do that. But the program we're talking about is literally using the exact content we use on our 1 acre plus niche, the marketing, the videos, the scripts, all of that. It's already been produced and it already exists, and it's been proven to a point of ridiculous. I mean, the response rate on 1 acre plus expireds, 1 acre plus out of town, 1 acre plus general ownership, 1 acre plus. When we identify these groups within the 1 acre plus, and we hadn't even addressed that, so I'm sure you want to readdress that and ask me about it. But all of that's proven, And all of that is sitting here ready to put in other people's hands. So that's why we're talking about it this way.
Cool. So let me give everyone who've made it this far, and you're saying this sounds interesting, but give me a little bit more of what's going on. And this is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the interview. So Stuart has developed a complete system that drives consistent volume in a niche that is in every single city. It's the niche of 1 acre plus residential housing. And what's unique with that niche is every single homeowner who has a piece of property that's 1 acre or more, they recognize that their home is different than the other homes down the street that are on a 1/4 acre.
Perfectly said.
They recognize it, and therefore, because they recognize it, they also recognize, without you having to convince them, that they will be better served with an expert in that than with a generalist. So right off the bat, you go toward a market that recognizes the need for someone who specializes in this. And there's almost no one that promotes themselves as a 1 acre plus specialist. So
Sure.
what Stuart has done, and if you don't mind me just kind of pitching this for you, Stuart,
Sure.
what Stuart has done is he created a coaching program to coach people through this, giving all of the content that he has developed in terms of marketing content, postcard content, follow-up package content, video content, and completely turnkeying it. So if you want to add another income stream and you want to just flip a switch and it turns on instantly, and you don't have to worry about how to get up to speed. You don't have to worry about how do you convince those homeowners that you're an expert. If you don't have to worry about what do I say that makes them really attracted to me more than someone else, Stuart's got it all. It's all a turnkey program, and you can plug and play, take very little time comparatively, make significantly more income comparatively on your time, and now you can start to have more of the life of working a handful of hours and making a substantial income. So that's what we're talking about here. There's actually two parts of this, because Stuart and I are working together with this. All of this is Stuart's content. It's all licensed to him. It's a turnkey, and he coaches you to both get it up and running and to continually to make the sales and navigate your specific niche as you need to. All of the actual development of the tools in terms of the postcard, the videos, the scripting, making it totally turnkey and seamless for you so you're not spending a lot of time doing it, and turning it into an automated, a set it and forget it marketing, in terms of you don't have to worry about the marketing. You just focus on being an agent. All of that is on our side with Agent Dominator. Okay. So we're working together sort of as a partnership on this to bring you a turnkey system with high revenues, a known market, and the known expertise on how to develop it. So that's kind of the nutshell where we're going.
Well said, and good description. So you've obviously been in the marketing arena for most of your adult life. I've been in the real estate arena most of my adult life, coaching agents for started coaching agents in 1999 and went to this particular niche and started working it 1 acre plus in 07. I was doing other specialties and things like that starting in the 90s, but took on the 1 acre plus specialty in 07. And we've coached other agents regarding niches and even the 1 acre plus niche. But this particular program is very specific, as you described, to a specific type of agent, a specific scenario. And that's where I came to you and we put this together so that when an agent says, yeah, that sounds like something I could benefit from, then there's no doubt that what's going to happen is not known. In other words, step by step by step, everything is there. There's no situation where you've got to figure out how to do something you've never done before. We're going to walk you through it, coach you through it, and or get it done so that it's in place and that your niche is being created and built and managed. And the ultimate goal, of course, work fewer hours, don't work weekends or evenings, spend more time with your family.
Amen on that. I want to spend the rest of the time we have just talking at a high level on niche marketing, how you do it as a way to help those who want to do it. They may not want to plug into your 1 Acre Plus, or those who are thinking about wanting to plug in 1 Acre Plus, they want more information. Before we go there, you and I were talking earlier about a website that you have that they can inquire and learn more about 1 Acre Plus Niche.
1acreplusniche.com.
Hey, I want to ask, so that's 1acreplusniche.com.
Correct.
And if you, and there's, I think, are you giving me just some free information about niche marketing anyway, even if they don't want to do the 1 Acre Plus?
Absolutely. If you go there, there's a download that will describe the way the process works. If you want to do it on your own, a very affordable book. I think it's, 16, 17 chapters that really outlines everything that you need to do. A set of videos that is kind of a cursory overview of it. So, and you know what, sincerely, some people, all they need is the book. That's it, and they run with it. I mean, some people are just that type of people. If you need a little bit more, kind of being handheld through some processes and explanations of details, then obviously there's other opportunities there for you, but as minimal or as much as you need.
Perfect. One of the headlines that I've stolen from you, and those who use our service will probably recognize this. We use it on their stats card. The headline says, if you think it's expensive hiring a professional, try hiring an amateur. And so for those who are serious in your business, you got the volume and you really want to do this thing right from the beginning. It's a lot more expensive hiring yourself to figure it out than to get Stuart to help you. With that said, there was one more thing I wanted to ask, your coaching ability. And I think one measure of one's coaching ability is how they help other agents be self-sufficient and produce. And I was just thinking about how you do your team. You have a team, but it's not the normal team. It's basically a team that you coach, if I'm correct. And
right.
But they do all their own production.
Yeah. So what we really do is a scenario that I don't make my agents put all their listings and all their sales under my name. So I have some huge production number. What I do is teach and coach and guide so that they can build their own business, generate their own leads. They don't have to depend on other people for leads or buy leads or chase leads. We teach them to go through the process that I go through and basically emulate what I do. So the way I handle my business, Beatty, is it's been this way again since about 2007. I don't take every listing that comes along. I mean, very sincerely, in the last 30 days, I turned down 2 listings and said, no, thank you, in a very tactful, very courteous way. But when you are being sought after, you have the ability not to take listings when you know, hey, life's too short. But the other side of you says, well, wait a minute, that's a pretty good commission. Well, it's not good enough for what it's going to cost you emotionally. So I handle a limited number of listings so that I can immerse myself truly in the successful transaction all the way to closing for my clients. Now, when I decided to start coaching agents, I made that same decision. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not ever going to be a household name across the U.S. or the world. I'm going to limit myself and handle and help enough agents that I can immerse myself in their successful path, but not get so busy that I can't handle my clients, because I'm not going to quit selling real estate. I mean, one of my agents told me, a big advantage for us is that you sell real estate just like we do. You go on listing appointments, you go to closings, and it's really one of those things that I think that's really true. I mean, I'm not some guy that was successful selling real estate 15 years ago. I'm doing what you're doing today. As a matter of fact, I'm doing what you're being taught to do, and I have been and have improved it, spent many years getting it to where it is. And as I improve it, guess who gets the benefit of that? Because I'm going to make it better this year than it was last year. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And with that, I think the thing that hits me too is this isn't a program that you accept anyone.
That's correct, and that's kind of what I was getting at. It's really, there's some really critical issues that what we do is we send out a questionnaire, and then it's not like, oh gosh, those, this person doesn't sound like they're. We don't just look at each one as a number or a name. We pay very close attention, and we're very, very interested in helping whoever would like to be involved. But sometimes, like with the 2 listings that I didn't take last month, sometimes it's just not a good match.
Yeah.
And that might be, the agent deciding that, it might be me deciding that. But those who do become involved and want to go down that path of creating a 1 acre plus niche, I just can't think of a faster, better, more efficient, more profitable way to do it than with someone who's literally doing it day after day, week after week.
Makes a lot of sense. So when they go to oneacreplusniche.com and they want to learn more and they want to do something with you, then there's going to be some engagement with you to make sure it's a right fit before you're willing to coach them.
Right. So, and I'm glad you asked that. So what they'll find there is a short video, me kind of introducing it. There'll be a questionnaire. And then once the questionnaire is input, we'll set a consultation or a strategy call. And basically what we'll do is look at what the agent situation is, what their needs are, what their expectations are, line ours out, and see if they match up.
Perfect. Cool. In the last few moments that we have, give us some more information about just marketing in a niche, things that you've learned. What are the maybe the 3 or 4 big keys that, that's the 20% that produces 80% of your results. What is it that you can guide people to just kind of point that direction?
It's interesting that you say that. I really kind of fall back on something that a lot of little things add up to big things. So there are so many little nuances within the 1 acre plus niche that when you share that with sellers, they recognize it immediately. You can see it in their eyes. They recognize it and they embrace it. So let's just start. I'll start from a product knowledge. Okay. So I'm going to hit 3 things real quick. Understanding and becoming an expert. It takes quite a while if you're going to be an oncologist or a cardiologist or a glaucoma surgeon. It doesn't take quite as long if you're going to open a brake shop. I've got a client who owns a brake shop, and he is a specialist. He is very good at what he does and very successful. And that's true in every industry. Guess what? In real estate, that can be true too, but it doesn't take 3 years or 8 years or 10 years. You will have you being a recognized specialist in 90 days or less. And a big part of that is product knowledge. We're going to teach you 3 kinds of expertise: product knowledge, market knowledge, and niche knowledge. But product knowledge is the ability to understand and know and see the property that your clients are competing with, and being able to talk intelligently about them and the valuation of the property like nobody else can. And that in itself sets you apart tremendously. So we give you a process to go about building the expertise that's recognized by the sellers that you talk to. That's one. Any questions on that one?
No, but that's the one that I remember as I've heard you talk and as I've listened to some of your videos. I'm going, this guy knows his stuff. And right off the bat, because of these little nuances that you're sharing, they seem small, but what they show is a great depth of understanding. I'm thinking, if I had a 1 acre plus home, I'd want you to sell it.
Well, I hope so. And I'm not sure I could actually get licensed in your state fast enough, but we'll cross that bridge.
Well, I don't have a 1 acre plus, so no worries there.
Well, we can sell you one too.
Yeah, I bet.
So a question people, and I'm going to cover this real quick. Some agents will say, well, how's that going to affect my regular real estate business if my regular clients think I specialize somewhere in some other type of property? It's really never an issue. Never has been for me, never. Because I specialize in 1 acre plus properties, but guess what? I sell regular subdivision properties because someone may need to sell one in order to buy a house on 1.7 acres. And when my client on 3.2 acres sells their home, they may move back into a subdivision. So just because I specialize in 1 acre plus doesn't mean I can't help people with their regular houses. Does that make sense?
It does. And all the marketing for the 1 acre plus is totally geared to that. So your marketing to your niche is a completely separate set of marketing that goes to anything else.
You got it. It's a parallel business. And one of the reasons that I chose 1 acre plus, because it's nearly an automatic double transaction. Someone who lives on an acre more nearly always moves down. The kids are raised.
Oh, wow. Never thought of that.
Take care of that property anymore. Bottom line is they don't have, an 18-year-old at home to mow. They just don't want to take care of that big property anymore. It's nearly always a double transaction. And we always help them with the other side. We've never had anybody go, well, you specialize in 1 acre plus and we're buying a condo. They don't do that. They sell their 1 acre plus home with us, and then we help them with their next transaction.
That's
and
brilliant.
I say we, I mentioned I work 35 hours or less. So I don't actually go show my sellers homes when they want to go buy one. One of my agents will do that, but I don't have, like we said, a traditional team, but one of my agents will go take the transaction from that point and help them buy. And the reason I do that is because if I help buyers all the time, I'd have to work weekends and evenings.
Yeah. You give it to someone hungrier than you. One of the things I remember about you from years back. So for those who haven't heard this before, when I met Stuart, this was back in 2012. He was doing 122 transactions. How many was it?
111.
111 on 35 hours a week, personal production, and
with a part-time assistant.
With a part-time assistant. And I was asking him about these listings, and he said, well, I don't take every listing that calls me. And he said, I'm jealous with my time, and I don't need it. I only take the ones I want. And I think that is really kind of the epitome of what this 1 acre plus niche can do for people, is it'll help you get your business to the point where you don't need every transaction, and you can turn it down, or you can farm out your buyers to hungrier agents, and you spend your time with your family doing whatever else you want.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. So one more tip on with a niche.
So I've talked about building an expertise. Once you build an expertise, you have to brand that expertise. There's a difference between branding and marketing. And we basically show you exactly how to brand yourself and position yourself so that people recognize immediately, just at a glance, hey, this person's an expert. You don't have to say a thing. All they have to do is see your brand. All right. The next thing is marketing. I'm going to give you a very easy, simple little tip on this. Whenever we send out any marketing, it always targets our audience, always targets our audience. What does that mean? What doesn't matter what the headline is, it's for 1 acre plus homeowners. And that is curious about how the 1 acre plus market is performing. It's not what you think. Take a look. I targeted 1 acre plus homeowners. Never price your home. And that's not targeting. Never price your home. Sorry, never price your 1 acre plus home where your agent recommends. Here's why. I targeted the 1 acre plus homeowner. So we're always targeting in all of our marketing. And when you target, they tend to pay attention to the message because it impacts them on a much deeper level than just a general real estate postcard or a Facebook ad or an Instagram post or whatever the case is. When you target, yes, it's a smaller group, but it's a much higher qualified group.
Much more responsive.
You got it. I used to do stats on how many people came to our website, and it was far fewer than some of the big giant producers who could claim, thousands. And we had just shy of 100 on one of our landing pages, but we sold more real estate off that 100 people who came to our landing page than the agent who got 10,000 to their website.
That's powerful. There was a stat that you were sharing that if I did marketing as a generalist versus marketing as a specialist in a niche, there's an increase that I'm going to get. What's the average increase that I'll get by doing niche marketing as a specialist versus just my general marketing?
Minimum of 3 times.
Minimum of 3. And have you found an average? Do you do it enough?
Yeah, between 6 and 7. I've had it as high as 11.
Wow.
I know, it's insane. It really is insane. In other words, everyone talks about different kinds of general type marketing. Well, if you market to expireds in your market, and some agents do that, that's great. But if you are a specialist in the 1 acre plus market and you market to 1 acre plus expireds, you have a seller who has had a failure. And now they see, wait a minute, this isn't just an agent. This is an expert. My other agent couldn't sell it. Now here's an expert. How is their thought process going to go when they decide to list again? Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. So in wrapping up, 1acreplusniche.com, you can learn more about what Stuart's doing. You can get a call with Stuart if you qualify, right? If you're 8 million or more.
There you go.
Get a lot of free stuff there. All of this is using our video infused postcards. So if you've been hearing us talk about including video with postcard marketing, Stuart's actually the initiator of that concept that just absolutely floored me when you start to see the results that the postcards driving people to your video, and then they start to learn about you personally. And once they have a chance to meet you, right off the bat, a met list is 8 to 10 times more likely to do business with you than a not met. So everything that you can put into this marketing approach to drive the sales quicker, faster, and more powerfully, that's what you have with the 1 acre plus niche. So anything final you'd like to share, Stuart, before we wrap up?
Well, just very simply that the marketing process that we take, the postcard, the video infused postcards that you mentioned, the reason we're taking that path is simply because of the turnkey process that's involved. Again, you could do all this on your own. You could take each step and put it together. But what we've done is just basically take the whole thing, package it up, and what you're looking at getting involved in is just simply getting a package, a process that's already there, not going about creating it step by step. And I think that makes sense because when I first, and I'm going to go all the way back to when I got your very first postcard, Beatty, my thought was, I get lots of postcards. Whoever sent this one knows how to market. And there's a huge, huge difference. I even think that some of the sites online that claim to be marketing sites do very little to help agents in the way of true marketing. And what we've done is produce content that we know sellers respond to. And the very best thing you can do as an agent is turn to a specialist who gets sellers to respond and use the strategies and methods that they're using, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you, Stuart. And for everyone listening, please check out 1acreplusniche.com. Niche is spelled Niche. Okay.
And the reason we say niche is because we're from the South. If you're from the Northeast or California, feel free to say niche.
Niche. I was going to make a joke, but I probably won't. So anyway, y'all have a very blessed day, and thanks for listening, and be blessed.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please do 2 things. Number 1, please share this on social media so other people can enjoy it. And number 2, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to either our YouTube channel or our podcast audio channel that you'll find on any audio player with your mobile phone. And then that way you won't miss another episode. Also, if you want help generating listings, please visit our website at agentdominator.com where we guarantee them or give your money back. Thanks again for listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast, and have a very blessed day.